The notorious Duke porn star has revealed her identity. She has released photos of herself. However, she refuses to release her legal name. So as you guys already knew, her porn name is Belle Knox, and those are the pictures that she did release. And she says the following: "My birth name is one name. It is mine. It is the name I am enrolled in at Duke. It's what my family and friends call me. My porn name is another name. It is the name I use when I perform. There are also two different worlds in which I inhabit. I can't stop you from calling me any name you want, including slut, whore, or bitch, but I can decide what name I use."
I gotta be honest, she's losing me, man. Every day she loses me a little bit more. Like, first, I did porn, but I don't want you to know who I am. I just never bought into that in the first place. I found it super weird. Like I said, in the original story we did about this girl, on the other hand, people calling her slut and bitch, what's your point? It's needlessly bullying her, doing whatever, just being a dick, right? There's no need for it, right? So I'm not on their side. But here she comes out and she says, okay, here's my face, here's my porn name, but I will not tell you my real name. Like, who cares?
Everyone already knows your real name.
Dude, we see your face. I mean, like, what difference does it make if you tell me your real name? I don't give a shit about your real name. Like, I mean, I guess some people care, but like, she makes us like sound like she's a. Now, I get that she was bothered, like harassed and all that stuff, but the way that she says it, like, it seems like it's like this big national case, like, I have a right to my identity and all that stuff. All right, I don't know. I'm just not feeling a lot of sympathy for her.
I don't know if it's her last-ditch effort to avoid people sending her really scary threats, because one thing that I will side on her with is, like, some of the threats that she got were scary. I mean, they're sending around her address, where they can find her, where she hangs out. That's the kind of stuff that incites violence. I disagree with it 100%, and maybe she doesn't want to release her name for that reason.
So I don't know if the cops did her wrong, but the cops say that they are not going to press any charges on any of that, and they refer to the harassment as childish threats. Okay. Now, like, maybe they're taking it way too lightly, because I'm with you. If they're publishing where she lives, that's scary stuff, right? So I'm with her on that. But it just feels like she's like playing this victim card. Like, how could you expose me? Come on, dude. That's like the most ironic thing I've ever heard. You're literally exposing yourself, which I don't mind. I love porn. God bless your heart. And you say, I'm not ashamed of it, but don't try to find out who I am. Well, that leads me to believe that perhaps you're a little ashamed of it.
I actually do not believe her at all when it comes to how she supposedly feels empowered by this and how this is something she really enjoys doing. I think that the reason why she wants to do it is because she can't afford $60,000 a year in her pricey Duke education.
And that's fair.
And look, there has been an increase in the number of people going to websites like Seeking Arrangement. 35% of people that go to Seeking Arrangement are people who are looking for sugar daddies or sugar mamas because they're students who can't pay for their loans. That's according to the CEO of the company. And he knows because they use EDU email addresses in order to sign up, right? Yeah. So look, it's a really big problem. And if she wants to raise awareness about how inaccessible education is at this point and how hard it is to pay for it, I'm all for that. But I'm not buying the whole, like, I feel empowered by it, especially when you're trying to hide your identity, and especially when you didn't like the idea of people leaking your image when it was discovered that you are a porn star.
I just can't get over complaining about leaking your image when you're in porn. That the very act of it, it's like being on TV and saying, I can't believe you put me on TV. Yeah, that's kind of how it works, right? So, and look, I think the kind of porn she does is somewhat relevant to her claims. So what kind of porn does she do?
So she did a porn for this thing called facial abuse, and it was probably the most degrading thing I've ever seen in my life. I find it difficult to believe that she feels empowered by that, because the guys are cussing her out. What they're doing to her physically is degrading, and I don't know, but it's her decision, it's her body, and if she wants to do it, go ahead. It still doesn't justify the threats that people are sending.
Look, we're not against porn. Any kind of porn you want to, that's your business, right? And we're going to support you 100% on that. But in the porn, they call her a slut and all this stuff, right? So how, like, and then when they call you a slut in the real world, you're like, how dare you? I don't know, it seems at least ironic, you know? And she could say, well, I'm acting and I'm getting paid to be called a slut and all the terrible things they call her before they do the other things to her, right? but it seems like it's a tough case. Let's just put it that way.
She's only 18 or 19, so I think we underestimate how, immature and naive she is.
Definitely.
We like to say that, porn is okay, whatever, it's just a job. Maybe she doesn't identify with it. She probably thought that I'm gonna go out there, do this, it's just a job, it's not who I am, and that people, should still respect me as a human being and as a woman and, not treat me like lower than, which is what happens when you do actually go and do porn and all these kinds of things.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right, but also you got to own up to what you do, though, because at some point it can become who you are. And I don't mean that she's what they call her in the porn or anything like that. I'm just relating it to my own personal experience, which is that when I was first a lawyer, I did corporate officers and directors liability litigation, which means that my job was to protect the most crooked CEOs in the country. I mean, how's that for an ironic job, right? Mm-hmm. And I couldn't stand it. And I literally told the partners, I don't want to work on these cases. And they're like, you're a lawyer, right? And that's part of why I left. Because if you continue to do that, then that's who you are, right? Mm-hmm. And so, maybe that's a bad analogy for what she's doing, but I just feel like she's putting up this thing like she's the world's biggest victim, when what she's doing is exposing herself literally, putting her image out there, and getting called slut and much worse on tape, and then complaining that happened.